So, morning guys, welcome to the channel. Slightly different topic today. Um, that's the Spearhead Ryuki ATS from Duo. Nifty looking little lure, right? You can see really slim profile. Obviously a sinking lure, right? So I'm headed off today. I'm headed up the country to go trout fishing tomorrow for brown trout on the lures, right? And it's a kind of a growing trend, right? That lure anglers and anglers from different disciplines are kind of trying other forms of angling. Like I get lots of guys who are traditionally salmon fishermen now contacting me saying, I'd love to have a crack at bass fishing. What do I need? How do I get into it? What sort of rod would you recommend or whatever? Da 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 da. I was classically a bass fisherman, and a good friend of mine, Tommy, introduced me to a bit of pike fishing, and then I got into a bit of river trout fishing with him, and now I'm up, go a few times a year up chasing really big brown trout up in the lakes, right? But it takes a special type of kit or whatever. And I also fish the salmon on the river during the summer, right? On the lures, by the way, and reasonably light kit, which makes it like even more fun, right? If you cook, kind of hook a grills, fill fish in around anywhere 6 to 10 pounds on a smaller rod. I mean, they absolutely run you ragged up and down the river. It's so much fun. Um, but I just wanted to show you these because of a topic. Once again, I have to thank Jay from Bass Republic for bringing this up. Like I do a hell of a lot of estuary fishing for bass, right? And the reason I fish the estuary a lot is, well, the big estuary here beside me is because it holds really big fish, right? And it holds really big fish because there's so much bait there, right? That's like it's not a complex algorithm or anything. Um, so, but at times those fish become incredibly difficult to catch, right? Jay was asking me last night, what do you do when the bass are on the shrimp, right? And the shrimp now we're talking about are minuscule little fellas, right? So I did bring in one plastic, right? Uh, um, that little guy, the surface breaker, right? Those are available in store. I brought that in a couple of colors. Now you're going to have to fish incredibly light to fish those, right? Because the bass that are feeding on those shrimp are in the margins and stuff. But that's not the only thing that's in the river that those big bass are waiting on. I mean, if you think about it, you've got the smolt migration, right? So the big bass will take their share of the salmon smolt that are coming down the river. You've got immature sea trout that they're definitely hammering, right? You got river smelt that they're absolutely murdering, like at times, right? So there's just an abundance of food, and how do you best, imitate those food sources? So, like sometimes I think the lures we're using are way too big, right? And then other times, like you're fine to use big lures, but sometimes in the estuary, something like this little fella. Now there are a few of these online at the minute. That's the Spearhead Ryuki saltwater, and I bought that. I can never say that word specifically. To imitate a small little sea trout, right? Because it's nice and silvery. It's got a little bit of a purpley hue to it, and again, it's a sinker, right? But you're looking at fishing a 4 to 24 gram rod, 7 foot, 7.5, maybe 8 foot long or whatever, which is not kind of the standard bass kit in Ireland. It kind of is in France, right, but not in Ireland, and that's just a cultural thing, right? When people think of bass rods here, they think 9 foot, 10 to 32 grams or whatever, right? You can see behind you, I have a whole range of stuff, right? Like the rod I'm going using today is the favorite 722, or tomorrow actually, I won't be fishing until, is the favorite 722. It's a 4 to 24 gram. and I've used it for river trout, I've used it for lake trout, I've used it to fish grilse, and I've used it to fish bass at night on the beach, and it's done all of those jobs, no problem to it. It's an exceptionally well made rod, Toray carbon, absolutely gorgeous, for €339. I think they are about that anyway. There's one left online in the shop, and I'll put a link to the shop into the comments. But it just got me to thinking about it. And the other thing then I was thinking was, we have the spring fair coming up on the 4th and 5th of May. So if Irish guys are interested in buying some salmon and trout lures, etc., drop me a ping, because I'll buy a few in. You know, they really are, I mean, they're super effective, right? Now, I know some chaps are going to say, oh yeah, you can get that on Temu for 3 or 4 quid. I'm afraid it's like, okay, go ahead, but I'm afraid it's just not the same thing. It's not the same thing, I guarantee you that much. I know if I hit Sheelan tomorrow, which I'd rather have in my box, right? If it was a Duo or a Temu lure, no question. So just worth thinking about, because hard lures have kind of gone out of fashion, and I'm not really sure why, right? Because they are super effective, right? Like last week, I'm not sure, I wasn't feeling very well. I was obviously feeling a bit better. I wasn't feeling very well, so I might have brought this up before, but I was talking to a chap, and he was fishing away all the soft plastics, couldn't nab a bite or whatever, and the minute he put on DC12 Tarifa, bang, into a fish, right? So sometimes those fish just want that extra bit of action or whatever. I don't understand it. Like, I don't claim to. I don't know why it is that, you know, one day they want a really slow, you know, paddle tail, like something like that fella there, right? You know, they want a Mad Shad 100 down deep, right? And again, I bought that. I bought those in primarily for fishing the estuaries, right? Because they're smashing imitation of all sorts of small bait fish type prey that falls out of the estuary, and on that ulti head, you know, it'll just bump down along, or you can just let it hit the bottom and then get it up and start to fish it, kind of sink and draw a little bit. And undoubtedly that's going to prove really effective in the estuary. Again, available in store, right? But hard lures, for whatever reason, as I was saying, just kind of went out of fashion, and it's a type of fishing that I just absolutely love. Like, I just, maybe it's just my age or whatever, and the fact that when we got into bass fishing, soft plastics didn't really exist. Like, we didn't, you know, it was, you had top water and you had hard lures, right? And some of the hard lures were basic in the extreme. Like, you know, I mean, we were fishing giant thunder sticks and the head and spook, which I still actually get out of the box every now and again. It's a really good lure, and all those kinds of stuff, but certainly nothing like X layers or any of that kind of stuff existed. Well, it did, but it didn't exist here or whatever. But one of the first range of lures I came across from hard lure was Duo, right? And I mean, the quality of the lures they're producing is quite incredible. So that's the 120 Lance sinking, right? Why do you need a sinking lure? Well, because sometimes the conditions dictate that to get a lure down, like if it's choppy enough, or particularly in a big swell, right? If you throw a shallow runner, it's just going to get knocked sideways, right? It's not going to be able to grip down. Whereas if you throw a sinking lure in, right, and you keep the rod tip up and just keep it up off the bottom, it'll fish away fine. Like, just because it's sinking doesn't mean you have to fish it deep. You can still fish a sinking lure really quite shallow, right? And that's all down to how you use your rod, right, to get it to work, right? So I just thought it was worth bringing up that like it's worth thinking outside the box sometimes, right? Because undoubtedly, like, look, I mean, you can go out onto the coast and hammerfish with, you know, soft plastics or whatever. But there's a whole range of stuff that's worth looking at as well. That's also incredibly effective. So this year now, for certain, when I go estuary fishing, I'm gonna give it a go with the light rod and some of these guys. I mean, that's the jointed 90S, right? Duo Ryuki. I mean, in the water, that thing just looks insanely good. Like, it has an absolutely brilliant action on it, right? I'm hoping it's going to do the business for big lake trout, but I guarantee you, like, if you put that over the top of a bass, you'd absolutely snaffle it, like, you know, and easily cast on that favorite 722 no bother. And I think a really good imitation of some of the bait fish, some of the fish that they're preying on. I mean, again, look, they come in all sorts of colours and whatever, and that's just down to personal choice or whatever. I tend to go natural or whatever. This one is just insanely nice. Look at the colours on that guy. Just perfect imitation of a little small brown trout, isn't it? So if you're interested in those, let me know, and I'll order a few in or whatever. Other than that, the week ahead actually looks really promising, right? The wind is going to drop off here, and it's going to go into the northeast, so hopefully, and that'll level the coast out, and it should clean the water up a bit, and I am a hell of a lot stronger, so I'm going to get out there and do a good bit of fishing and hopefully produce some results. I will be sort of going with my usual kind of early season tactics, which is to fish quite small, but definitely will be giving all the usual suspects a run, like the 5-inch spindleworm and sparkleberry, and in IU the 4-inch spindleworm, right? Definitely going to be getting a run out there. That's lovely on a Coyote 10 10-gram trio. It's just perfect for that, and you can kind of flick it into little gutters and crevices and just scooch it back to yourself. I'll also fish some bigger baits really slowly. For that job, I've got a couple of baits in. One is that one, which is the Raid full swing 5-inch. Really like the look of that bait. I think I'm going to be able to fish this. You know, I'm going to fish it on a BKK 6.0 weedless and just really slowly retrieve it, right? So just more or less just let it wash around in the tide, particularly around the dusk and stuff, to see, because oftentimes there's a bigger fish there that just hasn't budged, right? And then just at the change of light, they decide, oh, I'll have a crack or whatever. I don't know why. Again, I don't know why, but it is the case, right? So just to give you some idea of kind of what I would have with me on your average day's bass fishing, right? I just found one of my, these by the way are incredibly handy, right? I'll show you these. I didn't really show you them properly, right? So that's the clear pouch from Ultimate Fishing, right? And what I love about it is the fact that if you look, you can see your baits, right? So you don't have to go rummage. Like, before you've even opened the thing, you know what it is you're looking for is, which makes things a lot handier, right? Now, a word of warning, right? Don't be lazy like me and take off a hard lure and throw it in there. I've made that mistake once. I won't make it again, right? Here's a bait I'm bringing in. It's not in yet, but it's on its way. So the Pays JJ Minnow. I spoke to Murat last night. He's packing those up for me at the minute. So those are going to be in store really soon. But if you listen, it makes that lovely clacking sound, and I really think that makes a huge difference. I've caught a lot of fish on those, and I know a lot of other Waterford anglers who are big into that as a minnow bait. To my mind, it's as good as the black minnow, to be honest with you, and it comes in a smashing range of colours and weights and all the rest of it. And so you get 2 packs of heads, and then you can choose the colour of the bodies that you want to combine with those or whatever. Really nice. He also has an illusion paddle tail, which is like it's a clear paddle tail, and it's got like a small little another small little plastic bait inside in it. I don't know, it's a new idea. It looks interesting. I certainly am going to give it a try. I've ordered a few of them in. And then he has an illusion darter, which is kind of something similar to an Evo Bass Lance or whatever, or an Albi snack. It's that style of bait, and he's got those in your standard white and chartreuse, and then a kind of a sandy type effect or whatever. So I have a few of those on order as well. Now that I'm feeling a bit better, I hope to put these fellas into production this week, right? So back to the grind of getting the power slide up and running and bagged up for you guys. I mean, it's just such an effective bait for all sorts of fishing, but I just got so many fish on it last year. Now last year I did a lot of kind of creeping around in the shallows in the estuary, you know, fishing the muddy margins and the weedy margins, and there were a lot of big fish just, I mean, so tight just in that bubble rack weed, right? And I got some really nice fish on that lure, right? So high hopes for getting that up and running. I just got so sick last week I wasn't able to do anything, but you can see yourself the difference this morning. And that's a banker for me every time I go fishing, right? I've always got a few 1-up shads in the 4 and the 5-inch. I mean, that's just lovely rigged. That's on 10 gram 4-0 Texas eelhead, right? I mean, it's just smashing. They just catch so many fish. I don't know what it is about them. It's the action, right? You see that joint in the tail there, puts incredible action into that lure. I mean, just over the years, caught so many fish on them. So going to be fishing hard with these this year. I mean, I think of all the soft plastics that are relatively new to me, right? That this is probably my favorite, right? Which is the Madness slug, right? As you can see, that one's kind of rigged upside down just for devilment, right? To see. But you can fish that in so many ways. I've already showed you that, so I'm not going to bore you by showing you it again, but that's in my bag. Another bait that I really think is going to do well is the 4.8 Fantastic, right? So I'm going to be ordering some more of those in because they're sold out. I really like the bigger fella again because it's going to be able to fish it quite slowly, right? And let it wash around out there. Whilst that's on a weighted hook, I probably will be more inclined to fish it on a weightless, totally weightless, because there's enough weight in that lure to cast it without any weight in the hook itself. And then you can see I just have, like, look, a selection of 1-ups, obviously, glow white, more tinsel brown, and then we get down into the smaller little fellas, and that's the little Agi, right? Absolute beauty, right? Little 4-inch 1-up shot. So that's kind of what my plastics look like. I have a curly X layer in there as well. Really like the curly X layer, by the way. It doesn't get talked about a whole lot, right? But it's a really innovative bait, like, because it's constantly moving. Like, and that tail has got constant movement, even if you're dead sticking it, just letting it, you know, just throwing it out and letting it just wobble along a sandy bottom or something. That tail is just flapping around the place all the time. So I've done really well on them, but they don't seem to be super popular for whatever reason. Oh yeah, well, there's the Mad Slug 150 rigged weightless, right? I think that's going to be lethal. I really do. I mean, just absolutely. There are spots I fish where there's a bit of current. You're just going to be able to fling that up the current and just leave it, drop a U in your line, you know, and just you'll touch fish it, right? So the minute you feel that fish hit it, just bang into them, right? Don't give them a second. And there's the classic, obviously, little 4-inch X there. So it just got me thinking, right? You know, about estuary fishing and the types of bait that are there. And you know, when mate Brad is out on the water this morning and he's marking loads of fish, you know, and we were the same last year, you know, we were marking loads of fish and we couldn't pull a bite. And I think it's because a lot of the time they're either feeding on crustaceans or they're feeding on the tiny little shrimp or whatever, and then they become incredibly hard to catch. So I'm going to be really interested to see how these tiny little plastics do. I know, I can't remember his name. There was a guy from Turkey, a fly fisherman, and he was using these tiny little glass shrimps, right? And he was fly fishing, obviously, in estuaries, just in the margins. And I mean, he was catching huge bass, you know, I mean, like 70 plus bass on these things, right? Because what they do is the bass, the shrimp are literally packed into the bubble wrap, and the bass just gulp them. It's the same with the sand maggot and sand flea, right? If you've ever been on a beach, there's a couple of beaches in South Wexford where it's phenomenal, right? And you get this build up of kelp, right, on the shore. You kick over that kelp and you see the amount of maggot and stuff that's in it, right? And it just all washes in then as the tide rolls in, and the bass just grab a mouthful of it because it's pure protein, right? And the other early season bait then that I think for the small little sand eels are those BR fish, right? I think they're going to be super effective everywhere on the coast, on the beach, and in the estuary. So that's it for this morning, guys. There'll be a link in the... Oh, sorry, one more thing. For the Irish lads, the shad run in May, obviously. I think the wobbly is going to be your friend, right? That one. And the smaller one I haven't put up online yet, but there's a 5 gram one that I think is going to be absolutely lethal for them. And again, I think those would work an absolute treat for them, by the way. I think you might drop a few fish because those shad are hard to keep on the hook, right? But I'm definitely going to have some of those smaller wobblies up online for the shad run. They're worth a look at. They're really small, and I think the shad are going to love them. And the thing is, they're small enough that you'll be able to hook the shad inside their mouth, if you know what I mean. Because the thing about shad fishing is, it's one thing hooking them, it's another thing holding on to them, because we get a run of white shad here, as I'm sure you do in the UK as well. And it's a bit of a tradition. Everybody heads up and you meet guys you haven't met for God knows how long and just have a day bashing them or whatever. And you know, traditionally it's the Tasmanian devil and stuff, but people lately have been branching out into different types of lures, and other lures have been doing really well. And I just think that the action of that wobbly and stuff will be really attractive to them. So again, that's going to be available in store. So yeah, so that's about it, guys, for today. Thank God I'm feeling better. I'll have the GoPro with me, so hopefully we'll have some footage of some bit of fishing from tomorrow, right? But if there's anybody who's watching who wants anything in particular, message me, WhatsApp me, or contact me through the website, and I'll stick it on the order, right? Not everything is in stock or whatever, but I certainly will be getting in more P-boys, right? Because you can't have enough P-boys. I have loads of saltwater Ryuki still in stock. I have DC-12s, but all the IU are sold out, but I have them in nice colours. I still have some clear Estuary and some of the sardines. I've got that. I just love this feed shallow. I just love it, man. It's like, it's got sand smelt written all over it, right? So lots of stuff in store worth looking at. As I say, the link will be in the thingy. Oh, there's one bait I didn't mention to you, right? And it's a shallow runner again, incredibly popular in France. It was recommended to me by a French mate of mine, French angler. It's the Zip Baits ZBL minnow, right? And I can see why it does well, right? It's lovely. I had it out the last day. I was just having a look at the action on it. It casts really nice. It swims very shallow. So hopefully going to see a good few fish on that this year. So that's it, guys. Just a few different mishmash of things to talk about this morning. Nothing in particularly mind-boggling or anything, but thank God I'm feeling a bit better. Jeez, it was a rough week, but I really am much brighter today, thank God. And really looking forward to getting out fishing tomorrow, despite the fact that it's not for bass. I'm going to be bass fishing later on in the week, and it looks like conditions are conducive to catching a few fish, so fingers crossed. In the meantime, tight lines, and enjoy your weekend, what's left of it, and yeah, we'll talk to you soon. Cheers for all your support. Good luck. Bye bye.